Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Your Land, Your Lifestyle podcast, brought to you by Land and Lifestyle Properties and Auctions right here in downtown Evansville. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Melanie Eula. My name is Jason Science, and for the next 30, 40 minutes, we're going to be talking about your land and your lifestyle. And I think that it's probably time that we address the question, like, what does your land, your lifestyle mean to us? And, what does it mean to you?
What it means to me is the lifestyle that I want to live on the land that I live on, which for me is rural, private. I want a garden. I want woods. Timber's huge on the importance list for me. Just having that secluded area with nature wrapped around the property. And the reason is because of the lifestyle, right? I want a garden. I want animals outside. I spend 90% of my time outside if I can. I want to clean my house in an hour and I want to get on with my day. I don't want to be stuck to my house doing housework all the time. I would rather spend my time outside doing anything rather than being stuck inside. So for me and my lifestyle, it's really having that secluded area that's private, that I can be outside and feel like, it's my own. I don't see a neighbor. I don't hear a neighbor. Just being able to walk in the woods and read a book anywhere that you want to. It's important to me to throw my hammock up somewhere. So
Your new one?
Yeah, it's going to have to be the new one. My new one, by the way, is my new deer stand. He's laughing at me, but just wait, guys.
We'll have a video of it at some point.
I bought a camouflage hammock for hunting out of. So that kind of goes to show,
It's not dumb.
how I live. And it's
Right.
really my lifestyle. It's, if I was to hire a realtor, for me, I need to have somebody that's going to understand my lifestyle. Otherwise, you're never going to understand what I'm looking for. Don't waste my time. I won't waste your time. But
Right.
really sharing that information and knowing who you are and how you plan to live.
Right.
That's important, especially when I'm working with a buyer. I want to know their lifestyle. I want to know, what do you do? What's a regular day look like for you? What's a regular week look like for you? What's a month look like? Do you want a big house to clean, or do you have a revolving door like I do? So I think it's really understanding people. But for me, those are the things that are the most important to me. And again, I don't think any realtor out there could do a good job finding the right property for me unless they understood how I lived.
I agree with you 100%. I think that, understanding your lifestyle is a big part of selling you the right place. And that's why we named the business what we did, Land and Lifestyle Properties.
What's it mean to you, Jason?
It's very similar to your meaning. I think that everyone has a lifestyle, and that lifestyle that we essentially live, we would call it the outdoor lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I don't like to be confined to not letting my dog out to run around and worry about him crapping on the neighbor's yard and have everybody freaking out. And
That's
we
fair.
we get to do that as much as we possibly can when our career allows us to do that. But that's the goal. Mm-hmm. And it, like I said, it's important to match people up with their lifestyle. And some people want to live in a city. Some people don't mind living 100 feet up in a high rise condo, which we're going to talk about today, and taking the bus everywhere. That's a lifestyle, and it's not the one that I want to live, but it's certainly a lifestyle.
It is.
And
and
many others.
Farming
is another lifestyle.
It goes into you downsizing, as you get older. Things change. You don't want the 4 bedrooms. You don't want the 2-story house anymore. You want an easy open slate, 800 square foot. That's all you need, right? So understanding how you live, it gives us a perspective on, do you need a lot of storage? Do you need, what are the things that you need? Do you need a big yard? Do you have a dog? Do you like to go for walks? Do you want a walking trail, or are you good with a country road? All of those things are important. And the only way for us to really find the right property is to get to know you as a person.
Like, do you want to shoot bow in your backyard? Do you want to let your dog crap wherever they want, or train them to, go into the weeds and, so anyway, I could go on, but that's what it means to me. We talked a little bit about condos, and that's going to dovetail perfectly into our conversation. And our conversation today is going to largely revolve around condominiums and what is it that it really means, and what is it that it means in the real estate market technically, and what does it mean for you as a consumer. Melanie certainly has more confidence and expertise in this realm because I haven't dealt with it a bunch. I've sold a few condos now, and it was surprising to me my first time when Melanie took me to one. I'm like, this isn't a condo, this is a duplex. She's like, no, it's a condo. I'm like, no, it's not a condo. I've lived in a condo before.
I don't even think it was a duplex. It was technically an apartment building.
Like it. Oh yeah, I was thinking of a different one, but yeah, that was an apartment building. So we were in the People's Republic of Madison, and it was an apartment building, and they had made them into condos. I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think we saw this big shift into apartment buildings, multi-unit, multi-family unit buildings. They're no longer an apartment. They are a condo, and they converted a lot of them over because condos, there's a supply and demand issue in Madison and Dane County with condos. So if we think about, let's just go back, 4 years ago, a condo had a different, there's a different weight with that word, right? Condo was, most people looked at it like, okay, it's a half of a house. Very duplex-like, right? So you have a single-family home divided down the middle. Now 2 single families can live on either side of it, right? Or one on each side of it. So now we're taking these apartment buildings that have 40 apartments down one hallway. There's just doors everywhere, with a little peephole on it. 131B is right on the door. That's now been deemed or converted into a condo.
Still an apartment. You have to pay a lot of money for.
Yeah. So you own the airspace, you own the floor.
Let's talk a little bit about that. What exactly do you own in a condo?
So it's,
and I don't mean the contents. I mean,
there's a lot of depending on which condo we're talking about. We'll just speak in general terms. A condo is going to be you own what's inside of your 4 walls. So your interior walls, right? Your flooring, your ceiling, your walls. You own that, not the exterior, the interior. So you own this little airspace, whatever that square footage is, that's yours. Now you have common spaces, which are shared areas, whether it be a pool, whether it be a clubhouse, whether it be, just like a conference room type situation. Those are common areas, and everyone contributes for their condo fee, right? You have a condo fee every month that you're paying. Some of them are $200. Some of them are $500. If you get into the $500 range, typically those are including your lawn maintenance, sidewalk maintenance, all of those, your driveways are getting plowed, all of that good stuff. And then you see more in the $200 range. Either it's just not as nice of an area, perhaps, or they just don't include a lot. So that $200 fee is just it's kind of going into this maintenance bucket, right? So now when the roof needs to be replaced, they're pulling from that maintenance bucket. So that's where those association fees. But as far as what you own, you may own a tiny little parcel down in the basement, whereas you were assigned a tiny storage spot, right? Like this little 4x4 area. Okay, so now you own that. Now do you own a parking space? So when you go to close on a condo, you're potentially buying 3 different parcels. You'll have your storage unit, you'll have your garage for your car, your parking, and then you're going to have your unit. So you're actually buying 3 little parcels. So even if they're airspace parcels, they're still a parcel. And you pay tax on that.
Ask, do you know, like in the condo that we sold, it's nothing that I ever thought about. and you bring up a good point, is do you own that, that condo that we sold in Madison here this year? Do they own their little storage locker?
They do.
They do. And
They
do
do.
they own
Their parking space.
How do they? You spent plenty of time in title. How do they tie all that together? So 3 separate parcels. Are they paying tax on 3 separate parcels? Okay.
They are.
Wow, that sounds like a nightmare.
On the title side, it's not fun, but it's manageable because those parcels are typically connected to one another. So when you pull up one and you're doing a title search,
Yep.
the other ones are gonna pull through with it.
Okay.
So the biggest thing is understanding when you buy a condo, do you own those spaces, your parking space? And then asking the questions or looking through, your declaration paperwork.
Is there? I'm just gonna interrupt.
Sure.
Is there? So my mind, just having such a strong land background, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, what's access to that look like? Is there easements and all that stuff that are involved in that? Like, do you have a set trail that you have to walk down to get to your storage locker, or?
It's within the building, so you don't own the building.
Okay.
As a condominium owner, a unit owner, you only own your living space, your little storage space. So the rest of it,
by that common area.
everything else is considered a common area. Okay. So as much as you don't own it, you pay to upkeep it.
Many of you are probably listening to this going, well, this is really boring. But, and on the surface it is until you buy one or you start to, start your home search. And these are questions you're likely never going to ask.
So when the
only reason that I ask them is because it's important to understand what your legal right is. And I hadn't thought of the common area until I started to think, okay, well, there's a separate parcel, if you will, that's attached to this other separate parcel, and then there's the storage area that's another parcel. How do you legally get to all of them? But I think in the condo docs, it does say, now that you're talking about it, that there's a common area, and that common area is not owned by you, but it's legally accessed by you as part of your condominium agreement. Right?
Yeah, so you really have to think about it from you don't own your exterior walls, you own your interior walls.
Whereas, take, for instance, a duplex, which is now a condo. In a lot of places, they're building those.
The only way that's true is if there's 2 tax bills. So a condo or a duplex falls under 1 tax bill. A duplex is when one owner for the whole building, both sides, 1 tax bill, 1 owner. You're renting the other side out.
Yep.
That's a duplex.
Yep.
A condo is going to have individual tax bills. Unfortunately, but fortunately, you can easily convert over a duplex into a condo. Did I think we'd go as far as to start taking in apartment buildings downtown Madison? No, but the market has shifted since COVID. There was a huge demand for condos. There was none left on the market. The demand was high. Their inventory was low. So they started taking these less fortunate buildings that needed some TLC. They remodeled them and they converted them into a condo. So what was an apartment somebody was paying $500 to $800 a month on, they're turning around and selling for $260,000 to $280,000. Plus on top of that, you have your condo fee. And when that happened, we kind of went through this changing of the market where investors could no longer own, they can no longer own a unit within that condominium unit and rent it out. So if you own a condominium or a unit within that condominium, that unit can no longer be rented out. It has to be owner occupied. So when they did that, now investors can't come in and buy the whole building and rent out. So did it help on the supply and demand issue for the condos? Sure. But what did we do to the rental? Well, we could have a whole episode on that.
That's why you see rental.
We stole from Peter to pay Paul is all we did. So we shifted it and I'm sure we can have some healthy debates on this, but what it did is it drove those rental, your average rental price went through the roof. And so as much as you're helping out, this audience, what about these guys over here? So we just kind of made it a little bit harder again to be a renter and to be able to afford renting and to make sense with renting. Because now all these apartments that were rental, so if you didn't, let's just say you're self-employed, you had bad credit, doctor bills, whatever the case may be, happened, and you no longer have the credit to buy a house, now the odds were stacked up that much higher against you now. Because now all of these, what were apartments that you could have rented, now you have to purchase them. And now you have to pay dues on top of them. On top, right? So you're owning less, you're paying double. Plus you have this HOA fee, which is kind of like a rental, right? Mm-hmm. So there's more. When you go to talk to your bank, I'd say the number one thing is, if you're open to condominium purchasing, make sure you're telling your lender that. And the reason that I say that is because there's other fees attached to a condo. So when you get pre-approved for a home, right, a single family home, they're looking at your taxes need to be here. You want your house payment here. Here's your max price you can spend. Now, when you're in the market for a condo, you got condo fees.
Right.
You got taxes.
Which can be anywhere from $200 to how much?
It can be up to $800. It depends what
per
all
month.
they're doing. Yep, and that's a per month fee, and that goes into that association bucket, right, for when the roof needs to be replaced or the parking lot needs to be, touched up. Whatever the case may be, that money, that fee you're paying. So you're paying a mortgage, right? You're paying homeowners insurance. You're paying HOA fees.
Right.
There's all of these other fees are attached and they're fluctuating. So your lender, what they're going to do when they pre-approve you for that, they're going to say, if you want this as your monthly payment, this is the max condo fee at this purchase price that you can have.
So there's more pieces to the puzzle.
Yes, that condo fee needs to be really worked into those numbers. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to buy a single family home anymore. I'm just going to go buy a condo. Rules change for lenders too when it comes to a condo. Just because you qualify for $400,000 on a single family home doesn't mean you're going to qualify for $400,000 on a condo. So it depends on your credit score, depends on what type of loan, right? All of those things. The biggest thing that I want, I guess, for people to understand is go out and look at them. There's different types of condos. You have the apartment building style condo. You have the duplex that was now converted into a condo, which those are more private, right? Sure. Then you have these areas that condos are built everywhere. So the whole neighborhood block, your whole neighborhood is nothing but condos because they were just built that way.
Right. We have one not too far from us, right?
Yeah, and they're all for sale.
Right.
Condos aren't selling in Rock County. Condos sell great in Dane County. They're, I think, to try to make up for the market, the lack of inventory. Rock County tried to kind of mimic Dane County. And what the market has shown us is people are not open to condos in Rock County like they are in Dane County.
Right. It's, again, that lifestyle.
It is. Dane County is, you kind of expect it, right? Like, I don't want to live in an apartment. I want to live in a condo. Well, in Madison, living in a condo is kind of a status, right? No, I don't live in an apartment. I don't live in a duplex. I've got a condo. Yeah. But now since
600
COVID,
square feet condo.
But since COVID took over or, happened and showed its ugly face to us, what happened with that is condos kind of got their name dragged through the mud. So now when people are like, oh, I want to look at a condo, well, that meaning 4 years ago, it was kind of a status. And now it's, well, your condo might be an apartment
like status,
downtown.
like you want to go back to my condo, like
it's like not going to have the same meaning anymore.
Deal with a condo,
right? Yep. Now you may live in the slums in an apartment building because they have the same name, condo.
Right.
So what works in some counties doesn't always work in other counties, and what we have seen is that the price for the condos. Now, just to clear the air, the condos I'm talking about in Rock County versus the ones in Dane County. Dane County, those were converted. Rock County is being built.
Right.
So Rock County is building brand new condos. And when I say condos, I'm saying more of a duplex. So think of one house, a shared wall in the middle. So you have your own garage. You have your own driveway. You have your own yard, right? You have your upstairs, downstairs. You can have a basement. You can have all the things.
Everything's
that
separate.
a single family home offers you. The price, or the problem is the price, right? So if you look at a price of a condo versus a single family home, you're going to go, well, I want a single family home, even if you don't have condo fees. So if you buy a condo in a new condo in a new subdivision, a new neighborhood, just recently built, chances are you don't have condo fees. However, you're paying $400,000 for a 2-bedroom condo.
Is that what they go for in Madison?
Well, they go higher than that in Madison, but that's what they're listed for in Rock County. Depending on the neighborhood, Dane County is very spotty as far as where we have to get into specifics if you're talking about Madison. As far as Rock County, though, we're talking brand new condos. Well, there's no HOA fee, right, or condo fee or any of that thing that is attached to them. However, there's no snow removal. There's no any of that going on. So your yard, you have to mow that. It's very independent living.
So how does condo living today, how does that work in, say, a first-time buyer situation? Like, can you get an FHA loan on it?
Absolutely.
Okay. And can you get a VA loan on it?
Absolutely.
So there's not a government-backed loan that it doesn't qualify for? Okay.
No, I actually just sold one to a VA client not that long ago. And he ended up going up into, I think there's like 10 of them. And so they're all in a row. Everybody has their garage in the front. And then it's attached to their house, right? Or there's like a breezeway that they walk underneath to take their groceries in. But all of those, they all look the same from the front, right? Like you walk in and you look for their number on the outside of the door.
Right.
That's not an internal door. But there again, he was a VA buyer and he was a VA loan. And it's not a problem at all. So as long it falls under the same guidelines, right, as a single family home.
Yeah.
So that check marks, is there anything that's detrimentally around to the outside of it that, in 3 years, if they don't upkeep, is it going to be a detrimental factor to the value of that home? So they look at it the exact same way, but your dollar amount that you're going to get approved for is going to change.
Really?
And that's very individual basis. So you need to talk to your lender. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Anything else that you want to bring up about condos? And the reason we bring up condos is because inventory's light, and there are people that we've shown houses to, and it happens time and time again, where, showing number 1, their wants and needs are here, and showing number 6, their wants and needs have ratcheted down. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's kind of like going to the refrigerator the first time you want it to be like,
exactly.
Moment, right? And then the second time you're like, but the third time something's kind of winking at you in the fridge. That's the same pattern that we see with buyers. Going into this, everybody wants it to be this beautiful brand new house. Yeah. The reality sets in of the market, and they really just become educated.
And it's all a product of, again, it all goes back to inventory.
It does. Yeah, and so
all based on inventory.
The crazy part is single family homes. We're seeing buyers, unless they come to me right from the get go, like, "Hey, I'm in the market for a condo," which is like 1 out of every 50, right? If that.
Yeah.
So to get a buyer to open up their lens to a condo, 99% no. They don't even want to look at them.
Right.
So I don't know that it's even, the junk drawer of condos. It's not just a condo. What type of condo are we talking about? And I wish that there was a way for us to separate. Like, are we talking about
there isn't a
10-unit apartment building that's been converted to a condo, or are we talking about a true condominium lifestyle? That's 2 different lifestyles we're talking. So,
right.
But in Rock County, we're talking more single family homes that are built to have 2 separate single family homes, 1 on either side. But we're building them that way. We're not converting them. Dane County is up against the supply and demand issue. So they're converting old buildings or something that was not even an apartment building. They're just taking current structures and revamping them into an apartment style, and then they deem them as condos and they sell them individually. So, but the other question I'm waiting for you to ask me, is your taxes the same if you're 6 stories up or if you have a walkout yard? Yes. Your taxes are the same on that air, even if you don't have a yard. So there again, if somebody doesn't want a yard, that's great for you.
Is there typically a savings with the condo in terms of taxes?
No, there's not. The one thing since COVID that also has shifted is everyone went out and got themselves a family pet.
Sure. And we've seen that change big time.
So the only way to have a pet approved is if you have, a little Muffy like dog, but what do you do when you have a German Shepherd? Don't worry, I have a way around that. So you go in and it's now your emotional support German Shepherd, right? And doctors will sign off on it and you get that ticket and you're home free. However, they do that for safety for others. So if you're talking a condo building that the majority of them are 50 plus years old, right? In that unit, they don't want a 20-year-old coming in with a pit bull. Nobody wants that for them. So they set these guidelines based on, the type of audience that they're speaking to without getting in trouble, right? So now you can't have a dog that's more than 10 pounds, or you can't have an animal that's more than 20 pounds. Well, that really limits the majority of people. So unless you have a cat,
I mean, they have to consider the size of their poop. I mean, there's only so much space there.
So the reason then, so that goes into, but that also leads into a very valid point. There's no place for people to walk their dogs. If there's no place for people to walk their dogs or for their dogs to go to the bathroom outside, it's easy for them. No dogs allowed. So that's where the problem really comes into. So
there's a lot
going
more
back to the
regulation.
your land, your lifestyle, if this is your land, does it talk to your lifestyle? Does it speak to you? No? Well, that's easy for you and I to say no. But, if I'm looking into somewhere to put my grandma, that's ideal. She's safe. She's in a secured building. She has neighbors all around her. There's no dogs that are going to hurt her or attack her, right? She's safe. So it doesn't have to, just because it doesn't appeal to you or it doesn't mean that it doesn't appeal to my grandma or anyone. So if you don't want to mow your yard, well, that part's pretty attractive, right? I don't want to do yard work. I don't want to clean up poop from my yard. I don't want to rake leaves. I don't want to remove snow. Well, now you don't own a yard. Problem solved.
You just have to buy a lot of plastic bags.
If you want to have a dog.
If you want to have a dog.
Or you probably can't live there and you got to find a condominium that does allow dogs. So it gets challenging, and a lot of people don't want to jump through all those hoops just to feel like they're in a rental unit.
I'm wondering how this all ties into global warming.
I'm not.
I'm thinking all those plastic bags, that can't be a good thing, can it?
I don't really know.
All right.
You want to talk about straws and turtles too?
Not today.
Okay.
We'll save that for another day. I guess the point is here, condos aren't a bad thing. It's just that you need to understand what is all involved when you're getting into one. And they can be a great option, again, depending on your lifestyle. And if they fit your lifestyle, is definitely something that you should look into, because they're not bad. I think they're good. No,
I think that they're great. And I think that they're great for a very specific clientele. I don't think that they speak to a lot of people. However, there are times, right? Like, think about your kids. Do you send them away to college? Do you want them living here, or I can get them a condo? Well, that's safe, right? So as a mom, I'm looking at it like, well, I don't want my kid in some frat house or this or that. I'd rather them be in a secured building. So especially you have a daughter, right? Like for me, it's kind of like, do I want her in this unsecured house where people are in and out all the time? Or do I want her in a building where there's neighbors, there's cameras, there's all of the security that's there? I'm going to put my daughter in a condo before I'm going to put her in that. So it gives alternatives for people that are in college, temporary situations, people out there with health issues. They can't mow. They can't remove their snow. They don't have family around to help them out with that. Well, that's a perfect solution to that. So
there's a lot of people out there in the market that just don't want to rent, or there's some, in their mind, negative stigma attached to renting, and they want to own. And this allows you to do
part of
that.
Climbing up the ladder, though, don't you think? Like, I started here with this little apartment. First, I had an efficiency.
Right.
It's kind of climbing that ladder. So
that's why I guess I have a little issue with what Madison did and taking all those apartment buildings and making them into condos. But they did. I understand why they did it. They did it to meet the demand of the market, and the demand was certainly there. And the folks that own those condo or those apartment buildings and turned them into condos and sold every unit for probably 4 times the amount that it cost them to build it, which is great. It was good for all those people.
Building from scratch, starting with just dirt and building, it's not profitable for investors anymore. Right. So finding a structure that's already there to do so with it, it's helping the neighborhood. You fixed up an old building, and now you've created extra places for people to live. So It's not bad. However, it was the goal. And it helped it helped with a lot of areas. The negative effect with that is people that can't afford $2,000 or a month for rent, they kind of just got kicked aside. So if this apartment building was renting out for $700 a month, well, there was nowhere for those people to go that are budgeted for $700 a month. But they set these rules in that if you own it, or if you're living there, if you own it, you have to live in there, right? So investors got smarter, and they just worked around the system. I don't fault them to that at all, and created a lot more, options for people that were looking for smaller spaces. On the flip side, it didn't do any favors for our ginormous market that, are going to remain renters the rest of their life. So it definitely hurt them. But there again, that's what happens. Yeah. The changing of time. But the snowball effect, it started with COVID when the market went through the roof. Houses were flipping and selling for crazy dollar amount and with no inspections. And then there was just nothing left for the people that were, looking. So for them to get a buyer to go, look, I'm in the market for a single family home. Maybe one out of every couple hundred people are going to go, yeah, I'll look at them. I typically don't even get them to look at them. They're like, nope, it's a condo. I don't want it. And we're talking like their minds are still stuck on a condo of 2 families in one building, not 30 families in one building. Mm-hmm. So the word condo or the term condo, it's kind of gotten thrown around a lot over the last couple of years. But I think that as we're talking with people, buyers out there, having those conversations of what does a condo mean to you? Because a condo, if you ask 5 different people, you're going to get 5 different responses.
Well, and it's different depending upon the situation. So it's not a one size fits all. And I think it's something that, again, is wise for folks to consider dependent on your lifestyle.
Yep. And the other major factor, like I said, is just obtain all of the information about all the fees that are attached with that condo. Don't get blindsided by any of that stuff because $300 a month is a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's a big surprise for some folks when they haven't asked the right questions. So,
and just for future knowledge too, you can't just elect to mow the yard to not pay the HOA fees or the condo fees. It doesn't work that way. So,
right. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
I think that's all we have this time. Not sure what we're going to be talking about next time, but we'll let you know when we're on. That's it. We're out.
Thanks, everybody.